Hello dear friend, and welcome to this video in which we are going to talk about the upcoming full moon in Scorpio and Taurus. The new moon happens on the 26th, Monday, and we will discuss which are the general energies and influences and how we can use this full moon in the best possible way. I will share with you the chart of the full moon. We will look at the different aspects, which planets are included, and spoiler alert, all of the planets are included in this full moon, which is pretty amazing. And also we are gonna do a very short prediction for each of the signs so that you have a clearer idea which areas of your life will be triggered depending on your sun and rising sign. Okay, let's start with the basics. What is a full moon? That's an opposition between the sun and the moon. And also that's considered to be the culmination of each lunar cycle. So the middle, the peak moment of the lunar cycle. This time is very beneficial for materializing things that we have worked on, things that we have wanted to achieve, we have pursued for a certain time, whether this has been during the past couple of weeks after the beginning of this lunar cycle. Sometimes it could be something which we have started much earlier, but it just requires more time. So in any way, this is a very positive time to see the actual results of things that you have pursued previously. Also, the full moon is great for having a clearer idea, bringing more clarity in your life, seeing things in a much kind of like concrete way. Because if you think about how does the moon look like when we have a full moon, this is the time when we can see the whole moon literally in the sky. And this is not a coincidence. Symbolically, there is a deep meaning in that. And it shows us that we can see the whole picture or the whole situation of something that's important to us. That's why the full moon can make the mind really active. Also, the full moon can make emotions pretty intense. You know that some people also have issues with falling asleep because we are very active during this time, and we may also have many important insights and realizations around a full moon. So, pretty interesting and pretty exciting time that can either bring us manifestations and materializations or more clarity and a clearer vision, and also things that are more subconscious now can be processed on a more conscious level, because the moon represents the subconscious and the sun represents the conscious mind. So when we have this opposition, it's like the conscious mind looking straight into the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is visible, all of it. So usually psychologically this can be a very beneficial time for, again, getting to the root of something, seeing it clearly as it is, and also, of course, releasing and healing that. The full moon is also fantastic for making changes. If something is not the way you want it to be, if something hasn't worked very well for you, this is the time that you can switch things, you can make a change, you can transform something. And speaking of transformation, actually, it's a pretty important theme when it comes to that particular full moon, because it triggers Scorpio and Taurus. The moon is in Scorpio and the sun is in Taurus, and they have an opposition with each other. So pretty intense combination. The moon in Scorpio is usually kind of anxious, pretty emotional, pretty passionate also. But this is a great position if we want to heal and transform something in our life. And also, it's a time to focus on some material and practical things, including, but not only, money, the resources, the possessions that we have, our energy, our physical body, and something pretty important, the exchange of energy. By exchange of energy, we mean how much are you allowing yourself to receive and how much are you giving. And those two need to be balanced, because every disharmony in every direction can cause us some really serious issues with our own energy balance, with our money, and even with our health. So it's a great time to really focus on the things that we have been kind of like keeping for too long, in every possible meaning, emotionally, energetically, as memories, as relationships, as some real physical stuff and possessions. It's a great time to go through your stuff and just let go of the things that you don't need anymore in your life. Again, that may trigger all of the areas that we mentioned: material possessions, energy, memories, relationships, you name it. So great time for looking around your own field, internally, externally, and again, letting go of things, stuff, energies, memories, people that are no longer needed in your life. Okay, let's take a look now at the actual full moon and the aspects which are triggered. As we said, again, the 26th of April, Monday, late in the evening in the US, and in Europe, actually, that would be Tuesday during the night. And the exact degree is 8 degrees, so 7 degrees and 7 minutes if we need to be exact. And of course, as we said, Scorpio and Taurus are the triggered signs. The first thing which I want to talk about is the fact that we have so much fixed energy, fixed modality. So there are 4 planets in Taurus, 1 in Scorpio, so 5 planets, plus another 2 in Aquarius. So 7 planets out of 10 are in fixed modality signs. First of all, that means that it's very important for people who actually have more fixed energy in their chart. Taurus, Scorpio, first of all, but also Aquarius and Leo. For those people, whether you have your sun there or ascendant or a stellium there, or it's just an important energy for you, this full moon will be more important and can bring more transformations and releasing something and transforming or manifesting something. The other thing which is quite interesting is that there are no fire planets. So literally no fire energy. And it means that it's not a time for some intense actions. It's not the time to kind of like fight or to get too much into the achiever mode. It's time to process things. So 8 planets out of 10 are in feminine signs, in earth and water signs. The actual full moon also triggers feminine signs, Scorpio and Taurus, which means that we need to process the energy more internally. It's a great time for, as we said, self-healing, transformation, letting go of the past, energy healing, of course. And you don't necessarily need to think so much of taking action. And of course, I'm not saying that you should stop yourself. If you have the inspiration, if you have the vision, absolutely go for it. But if you feel like you need to stop for a moment and maybe go more inwards and maybe pay more attention to your inner self or your emotional or energy or health balance, please respect that. And usually the fixed energy like this one, and also in combination with so many feminine signs that are triggered, it means that we need to relax a little bit and go more internal. So that's just the general perspective. Now, in terms of the planets which are triggered, first of all, we need to pay attention to this incredible stellium in Taurus, which also includes the Sun. We have Uranus very close to the Sun, which means that we can expect surprises. There might be new things. There might be also more freedom which we can experience, letting go of something, releasing something, not so many boundaries. It's more like connection. So great aspect for creativity, but also there might be surprises and unexpected situations. And Uranus sometimes really likes to shock us, to put us in a situation that we haven't planned. We need to go with the flow. We need to allow this energy to come and to embrace it. So don't be afraid to think of changes and releasing and healing and trying something new. On the other side, also Venus is part of this stellium, and Venus is the actual ruler of the stellium in Taurus. So Venus is especially important and actually strong in this combination, which means that we need to pay attention to relationships, to things that are important for our emotional well-being, for our physical well-being and health. Also, financial matters can be extremely important. The financial stability is a little tricky. So with this full moon and with Uranus triggered, there might be some financial changes which are a little sudden and honestly sometimes even extreme. So we need to prepare for that. But also it's a great time to make radical changes when it comes to those exact life areas, which honestly are pretty important for our physical material life. Money is an important necessity. Resources are extremely important, and resources can be, of different kinds. Energy is resource. Emotions can be your resource. So working with all of those different possibilities and actually even expanding your vision and your ideas of what your resources are. That's also so beneficial for this full moon, because yes, there are some pretty logical things that come to mind when we think of resources. Of course, first of all, money, properties, the material belongings that we have. But actually, there are many other things that can be also our resources. Our mind, our intuition, our emotions, our beliefs, our relationships. There are so many other things that can serve us as internal resources. So I think that this full moon is great for looking at things from that kind of like different, open-minded perspective, and to see how we can actually be much more creative, and that can really serve us also in very practical ways, because that's also the point of Taurus as an energy, to be practical and to be kind of like integrated in the material reality that we live in. So we should never forget about this. And especially during this full moon when we have 5 planets in Earth signs. So that's the dominant element. So we should always stay in touch with reality and to try to integrate this experience and this energy into something concrete. Okay, and Mercury is the other planet which is also part of the stellium in Taurus, together with the Sun, Uranus, and Venus, which means that we can use our mind to show us different ideas. Communication can be quite interesting, exciting, surprising, inspirational. So Mercury is also bringing more energy to the mind. Okay, the other planets which are part here. The first one is Saturn. Saturn is pretty important because it squares the full moon. So it squares the sun and the moon simultaneously. And the truth is that this is a difficult, harsh trigger. And it can put us in a little bit more passive position, or we might feel a little stuck. We might feel limited in certain way. So we need to take things really slow. Rushing through things is absolutely not a good idea for this particular full moon. Instead, allow yourself to respect the limitations that you currently, or we all currently have, and think about how you can use this in the best possible way, because there's always a meaning. Nothing happens just out of the blue. Even when we have such difficult aspects, underneath all of that, there is a positive intention. So maybe we have tried too hard, we have worked too hard, or we just need to be more cautious. Whatever the case, just allow yourself to take more time. And also, this can help you to release some of those limitations. But we know how important it is, first of all, to admit and to allow ourselves to experience that. And only after that, we can set free from it. Okay, and one general theme which seems very important for this full moon is the theme about attachments. That's totally a fixed modality energy, to be attached to something. But at the same time, we have this Uranus energy, we have the Saturn energy. So perhaps we may feel this contradiction as feeling really attached to certain attachments and yet needing to release them. And for everyone, this may manifest in different ways. Everyone may work with this energy differently. But overall, I think that this is very important, to focus on attachments. The positive energy that supports this full moon comes from Mars. So Mars is trining the moon and sextiling the sun. So it means that we can also feel more courageous, we can feel inspired in certain way, and hopefully we won't be so passive and kind of like stuck in this. Mars is the planet of action, but Mars is in a weak sign position. So Mars is in Cancer, which has its own specificity, meaning that we need to be very considerate of our emotional condition and our desires. That can serve us as a fuel and as a real motivator to do something. Not so much what we have to do, not so much competing or overachieving or whatever. It's more about, what do I want? What would serve me best? What's my biggest desire? Also, what potentially can help my family or the people that I love. So Mars is actually playing a pretty positive role in this full moon, bringing some drive, some excitement, some possibility to take action, to have a possible direction. So I think that that's especially important, keeping in mind the Saturn squares. So Saturn can bring the blockages and the limitations, but Mars is bringing also some kind of solution. So that's extremely important. And the other aspects are minor aspects, but as you can see, literally all of the planets are part of this full moon, including Pluto, which has karmic aspects. And Pluto is also important because it's ruling the moon in this full moon. And it can add some additional intensity, more passion, but also the need to release control or to kind of like go with the flow energetically. It's more like following the energy, which is, as abstract as it sounds, it may also be very, very helpful. So Pluto can help with transformation, with healing, with also some empowerment, but also it may bring some unexpected and potentially also challenging circumstances. Neptune has minor challenging aspects with the Sun and the Moon at the same time, which can blur a little bit the situation, but it may also bring us more creativity, more inspiration. It can help us to be more compassionate and to bring more of this healing energy. The important thing to remember is that the challenging aspects, they require effort. So we need to put some conscious effort into our own healing or the transformations that we want to experience in our lives. And overall, this Neptune energy brings even more emotionality and sensitivity to the pretty intense full moon. Okay, and Jupiter has a creative aspect with the full moon, a quintile with the Sun, which can be pretty helpful when it comes to what we believe is possible. Do you have faith? Do you have a positive expectation of the future? Do you believe in yourself? Those are also some of the questions, because the full moon is pretty intense and we may tend to go more into the dark side of things. And so interesting, right before I started recording this video, I realized that I have chosen even a dark outfit. It wasn't intentional, it wasn't planned, that's just what I went for during the morning. And now when I started, I realized, okay, that really makes sense. That's totally in alignment with the Scorpio energy. It's an intense, dark energy, but not necessarily bad, because this is also the transformational and healing energy. Just like we have Scorpio describing or being related to death and rebirth, in the same way, we can use the energy in different ways. So, but anyway, it's a pretty intense and pretty serious and sometimes dark combination. So, this Jupiter aspect can hopefully bring us more positivity or some additional strength and confidence in ourselves. So, that was the general overview of this chart, the chart of the full moon. And now we are going to talk about each of the signs. Very short, very brief guidance of how you can use the full moon depending on your sun and rising sign. If you are Aries sun or rising sign, you will experience this full moon as triggering your 8th and 2nd house. The major transformations will be in 8th house, meaning actual big transformations. Some really serious matters can be triggered. Increased emotionality, also financial situations may show up. The need to balance things. Maybe in terms of investments, this may also be a pretty important full moon. For Taurus, of course, the full moon is extremely important because it triggers your 7th and your 1st house. So finding balance in relationships, in close connections with others, also your image in front of other people, your way of connecting to other people. Those are some of the major themes that you can work on. So relationships and connecting to other people. That's like the most important for Taurus. For Gemini, the full moon triggers 6th and 12th house, bringing some transformations in your work, in your daily life, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your schedule and the things that you are planning. You can make changes, you can transform things. Health can be really important. So also finding the balance between work and rest, that's pretty important. For Cancer, the full moon triggers 5th and 11th house, which means lots of passion. Also focus on the things that you love, your children, your creative projects, your hobbies, and everything else that you love. What can you change? What can you transform? What can you manifest and materialize in those areas? And also the need to balance that with a kind of like larger vision, bigger perspective, looking at things in a different way, and perhaps finding the balance also between love and friendship. For Leo, the full moon is pretty important because it triggers the cardinal axis, 4th and 10th house. So finding the balance between your personal life and your social or career goals, and specifically changing things in your closest environment, family, your home, properties, the communication with family or close people. Those are some of the major themes to consider. For Virgo, the full moon triggers 3rd and 9th house, which brings the focus to your ideas, to your mind, to your connections, the way you communicate with people, but also how you can integrate that with your bigger goals, with your kind of like long-term perspective, and really find the balance between those two. For Libra, the full moon triggers 2nd and 8th house, which means that you really need to balance your resources, the exchange of energy, but also to focus more on the visible and practical things in life. Money, your physical body, your resources, and overall the material reality. That's very important. So how can you bring this inspiration or a healing energy into the material life? How you can improve this in a very practical way. So pretty, stabilizing energy. That's what you need. You need more stability. For Scorpio, of course, the full moon is extremely important, and extremely is actually one of the favorite words of Scorpio. So it triggers 1st and 7th house, but the main focus is on you, your personality, your actions, your attitude, your behavior, everything that's you. Changing it, transforming it, healing that, acceptance, you name it. Bring the focus to yourself and what's important for you personally. And also at the same time, try to find the balance with the other people in your life, especially if you have a partner or a spouse. That would be the time to bring more balance, or perhaps change something when it comes to your behavior and your attitude in the area of relationships. For Sagittarius, the full moon triggers 12th and 6th house, which brings the focus more into some spiritual, psychological, emotional things, working with the past, releasing the past, releasing memories that no longer serve you or that are kind of like keeping you behind, and overall finding more internal balance. Balancing also the time that you spend working and resting. That's pretty important. And the focus should be more on the rest part, on the relaxation, self-healing part. For Capricorn, the full moon triggers 11th and 5th house, but with the main potential for a change in 11th house, which means focusing on a long-term vision or your ideals or some kind of community task or goal, and overall bringing more people into whatever you want to accomplish, being part of a team. And at the same time, balancing all of that with your own desires, with what you want personally, with what you are passionate about. For Aquarius, the full moon is also very important because it triggers 10th and 4th house. And those are also pretty important houses. The main area where you can make changes is the area of career, business, social reputation, vision of, what you want to accomplish, your ambitions, how you can transform them, change them, what you can manifest in those areas. And also at the same time, balancing them with your personal life, with your family, with the needs of your close people, with when it comes to also the time that you spend at home and at work. And finally, for Pisces, this full moon triggers 9th and 3rd house. And the main area where you can make some big changes and transformations is the area of long-term goals, visions, your belief system. That's pretty important. And actually, working on your belief system can help you transform your whole life and so many other things. So think about, what do you want to believe in? Do you have some limiting beliefs? How you can transform them? What do you want to materialize in your future? That's very important. And also finding the balance when it comes to the smaller steps that you need to take in order to achieve this long-term goal. So the mind is pretty active. Goal setting, planning, those are the most important areas for Pisces. And with that, my friend, we covered the most important for this full moon. Don't forget, if you want more guidance of how you can use lunations, moon predictions, lunar returns, you can check my training below the video. And of course, don't forget also to subscribe to this channel for more information and inspiration. Thank you so much again, and I will catch you next time.